There comes a moment when silence isn't peaceful, it's deafening. When you look around and nothing feels like it used to. The things that once gave you meaning now seem hollow, like distant echoes of a life you no longer part of. And yet, you're still here, breathing, walking, but not really alive in the way you used to be. You don't even recognize yourself anymore, do you? This isn't depression. Not exactly. It's not burnout or disinterest either. It's deeper than that. You're not simply tired, you're done. But with what exactly, you can't say. Something inside you is breaking down, dissolving, like a bridge collapsing in the dark. It's terrifying, but strangely freeing. You're going through a spiritual death. And no one talks about this part, because it doesn't come with fireworks or enlightenment. It arrives quietly, like dusk slipping into night. You don't notice it until you're already in the middle of the void. And now, you're here, floating in between, detached from who you were, but not yet who you're becoming. One of the first signs is the erosion of identity. You begin to question everything: your career, your relationships, your ambitions. What used to matter now feels like someone else's dream. You no longer crave the validation you once chased. Compliments feel empty. Achievements feel meaningless. You look at your old self like a ghost in a photo album, smiling, striving, surviving, but that person no longer exists. You can't play the part anymore, no matter how hard you try. And so you isolate. Not because you hate people, but because noise exhausts you. Small talk becomes unbearable. Parties, social obligations, they feel like masks you can't keep wearing. You crave silence, but not because it suits you. You crave it because everything else feels fake. The more you disconnect from the world, the more you start confronting your own illusions. You're not running from others. You're trying to remember who you are beneath the noise. But the more you strip away, the more lost you feel. That's the paradox. Spiritual death isn't just about shedding. It's about becoming nothing. You let go of beliefs, habits, comforts. You stop identifying with your job, your role, your reputation. You stop needing to prove yourself. But in doing so, you lose the scaffolding that held your life together. And that emptiness, it feels like dying. And here's the painful truth: no one understands. Not fully. They'll say you've changed. You become distant, difficult, cold. But how do you explain to someone that you're shedding a skin they still think is you? How do you explain that you're grieving a self they never truly knew? So you pretend. You smile when you don't mean it. You nod when you disagree. You go through the motions because the alternative, explaining your unraveling, is too exhausting. But deep down, the disconnect grows. You're not living anymore. You're performing a life that no longer fits. At night, you stare at the ceiling, searching for meaning. You reread old journal entries. You revisit childhood memories, not for nostalgia, but to remember who you were before the noise began. You start longing for truth, not the kind that comes from books or preachers, but the kind that burns quietly in your chest. The kind that doesn't speak in words, but in knowing. And this knowing, it's subtle at first, like a whisper through the wreckage. It says, this is not the end. And even though your life feels like a funeral for all that you were, something inside refuses to die. Something is watching all this fall apart, and it remains still, unbroken. That something is you, not the self you built, but the self you forgot. The death you're experiencing isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to uncover you. But before you can rise, you must burn. Burning isn't always loud. Sometimes it happens slowly, like paper curling in silence. And as your old self crumbles, you notice strange things. A kind of numbness settles in, not like apathy, but more like a protective shell. You stop reacting to the chaos around you the way you used to. It's not because you don't care. It's because something inside is watching from a deeper place. You become the observer. This is the second sign, a shift in perception. You're no longer clinging to thoughts as if they are you. Emotions rise and fall, and you begin to see them for what they are: weather, temporary, unreliable. You might still feel fear, sadness, even rage, but now there's a quiet voice beneath it all that says, let it pass. This voice isn't always loud, but it's steady, and that steadiness is new. It's the part of you that isn't dying. But this awakening also comes with mourning. The third sign, grief with no clear source. Some days, you cry for no reason, or rather, for reasons you can't name. It's like the soul knows something is being laid to rest, even if your mind can't articulate it. You grieve past versions of yourselves. You grieve the years you spent pretending. You grieve the love you gave away without boundaries, the dreams you borrowed from others, the time you wasted chasing approval. It's not just sadness, it's sacred, because this grief is proof that you are finally truly present with yourselves. And just when you think you're done unraveling, the fourth sign creeps in. Your values begin to collapse. Not because you don't care about anything, but because you realized most of what you cared about was inherited, not chosen. You start questioning, who told me success looks like this? Why did I believe love had to hurt? Why do I fear being alone? One by one, these old beliefs dissolve like sandcastles in the tide. And what's left? A vast silence. An empty field waiting to be seated by your truth, not someone else's. But in this silence, something else surfaces, the fifth sign, an intense longing for solitude. Not just quiet, but sacred aloneness. You stop seeking people who distract you. You start craving space to breathe, to think, to simply be. Crowds drain you. Shallow conversations feel like poison. You want to sit with the stars, walk without speaking, journal until your hand aches. And in that solitude, something precious begins to grow. Self-respect. Not the performative kind, but the deep, internal knowing that your soul deserves to rest without explanation. Yet solitude isn't always peaceful. It forces you to confront your shadows. And so arrives the sixth sign, uncomfortable clarity. You begin to see the games you used to play, the people you enabled, the masks you wore to survive. And most painfully, you see your own betrayals. Not the ones others inflicted, but the ones you allowed. How many times did you say yes when your body screamed no? How often did you choose peace on the outside while waging war inside? Now, there's no more hiding, no more excuses, just the raw truth, staring back like a mirror you can't look away from. And it hurts. But strangely, this pain feels clean. It's not the chaos of confusion. It's the burn of purification. And you begin to understand, spiritual death is not about punishment. It's about revelation. Everything is being stripped away, not to leave you empty, but to return you to yourself. And finally, the seventh sign emerges, not as a lightning strike, but as a whisper. You begin to feel free, not all the time, not yet, but in glimpses. You laugh at things that once triggered you. You notice beauty in silence. You feel a strange sense of trust, not in life's comfort, but in its truth. You no longer chase highs to escape lows. You no longer beg to be chosen. Something deeper has awakened in you. It doesn't want fame or applause. It just wants peace. You stop asking, who am I supposed to be? And start asking, who am I when I stop pretending? And the answer doesn't come in a sentence. It comes in how you walk, and how you breathe, in the way you say no without guilt, in the way you protect your energy like it's sacred, because now it is. You begin to trust the fall, to honor the unraveling, because now you see the death of the false self is not the end of your life. It's the beginning of your liberation. You don't come out of a spiritual death the same way you went in. You don't walk back into the world unchanged, carrying a new philosophy or reciting poetic mantras. No, what you carry is silence, a quiet that others might misinterpret as aloofness. But it's not detachment, it's discernment. You've been to the underworld of your own psyche, and now you don't let just anyone in, because now you can feel it instantly. When someone's words don't match their energy, when their affection feels transactional, when a room drains you, when a conversation isn't rooted in truth, you walk away, not with bitterness, but with clarity. That's the final echo of spiritual death, the rebirth of your boundaries. But boundaries don't come from ego anymore. They don't come from needing to be right or from fear. They come from reverence. Reverence for your peace, for the sacred ground you had to crawl through fire to find. And suddenly, you realize something strange, almost unsettling. You don't crave validation anymore. You used to desperately. You used to bend, shrink, perform, chase. You used to play a role so perfectly that even you believed it. But now, if someone misunderstands you, you let them. If someone leaves you, you hold the door open. Because finally, you stopped abandoning yourself just to be liked. You have become your own witness. You see yourself now with an honesty that is terrifying and beautiful. You see the child in you that longed for love, the teen who built armor from sarcasm and silence, the adult who tried to fix others to avoid fixing themselves. And instead of shame, you feel compassion, a compassion so deep it makes you weep, because you finally understand you were never broken. You were just buried beneath conditioning, fear, survival patterns, beneath the lies they told you about worth, beneath the systems that profit from your insecurity. But now you dug through it. You've reached the bone, the soul, and it didn't scream. It didn't beg. It simply looked up and said, I'm still here. You carry that now, that awareness, that depth. And though it makes you different, perhaps harder to relate to, less fun at parties, more silent in crowds, you wouldn't trade it for anything. Because once you've tasted truth, comfort tastes like betrayal. So you begin again, but not in the way the world expects. Not with grand goals or declarations. You begin with gentleness, with slowness. You water your roots before blooming. You walk away from urgency and into stillness. You stop chasing love and start becoming it. And in doing so, you realize this death was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to free you. You were never meant to live as a mask or a performance or a placeholder for other people's projections. You were meant to live as a soul. Raw, imperfect, radiant. Not everyone will see you now. Not everyone can meet you in this place. Some will say you changed. Some will call you distant. Some will try to pull you back into who you were. But you're no longer seduced by belonging. You've made peace with solitude. You've made peace with your shadows. You've made peace with the version of you that had to die so that this one could live. And this version doesn't hustle for healing. It doesn't prove itself through productivity. It doesn't hide its softness or armor its heart. This version knows presence is power. Honesty is protection. Stillness is a revolution. This is what spiritual death teaches you. Not to transcend your humanity, but to inhabit it fully. To laugh while holding grief. To rest while the world burns. To love with trembling hands. To speak with a voice that shakes. To choose truth over comfort, even when it costs you everything. Because now you know, the only thing more painful than spiritual death is living as someone you're not. And so, if you're still here, still burning, still unraveling, still walking through the fire, don't rush. Don't resist. Don't hum it away. This pain has purpose. This season has meaning. You are not falling apart. You're being rearranged. And when the ashes settle, when the silence deepens, when the world feels less loud and your heart feels more your own, you will realize you didn't lose yourself in the darkness. You found the only part of you that could survive it. And that part, that's the part that's finally free.